Stop for a moment and think about this. There are certain things people will ask from you that seem harmless at first, but slowly they begin to drain your energy, weaken your confidence, and steal your peace. Most people don't notice it happening until they feel exhausted, disrespected, or lost in their own life. That is why this video is important. Today, you will discover powerful Stoic lessons about the things you should never give people, even if they ask politely, even if they pressure you, and even if it feels uncomfortable to say no. If you stay with me until the end, you will understand how protecting these parts of yourself can completely change your life. Before we go deeper, if you want more wisdom like this that strengthens your mindset and helps you live with confidence and clarity, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. This channel is built for people who want to become mentally stronger, calmer, and more focused every single day. Your support helps this community grow, and together we can learn how to live with discipline, purpose, and true inner peace. One of the most important things you must protect is your peace of mind. Many people will try to pull you into arguments, drama, or negativity. They may complain constantly, criticize you, or expect you to react emotionally to everything they say. But Stoicism teaches us something powerful. You are not required to respond to every disturbance around you. When you protect your peace, you protect your energy, your clarity, and your ability to think wisely. The truth is, some people feed off chaos. They want reactions because reactions give them control. But when you stay calm, when you choose silence instead of anger, you take that power back. A Stoic mindset reminds us that we cannot control what others say or do, but we can control how we respond. This simple idea is life-changing. When you stop giving people access to your emotional stability, you begin to feel stronger. Suddenly, things that once stressed you no longer have the same effect. You realize that your mind is a place that deserves protection. And just like you would not allow someone to walk into your home and destroy your belongings, you should not allow people to enter your mind and destroy your peace. Another thing people often ask from you, sometimes without realizing it, is your self-respect. It happens in small ways. Someone may expect you to tolerate disrespect, constant criticism, or unfair treatment. They may assume you will always say yes, always agree, or always sacrifice your comfort to please them. At first, you may think being kind means accepting everything. But kindness without boundaries becomes weakness in the eyes of those who take advantage of it. Stoic philosophy teaches that dignity comes from how you treat yourself. When you respect your own boundaries, others begin to recognize that you value yourself. It does not mean you become rude or arrogant. Instead, it means you quietly stand firm. You choose not to remain in places where you are constantly undervalued. You choose not to allow people to talk down to you. And most importantly, you stop apologizing for protecting your own worth. Many people lose their self-respect slowly, without noticing. They keep giving chances to those who repeatedly ignore their boundaries. They stay silent when they should speak. Over time, this creates frustration inside them. But once you decide that your dignity matters, everything changes. People either adjust the way they treat you, or they remove themselves from your life. And in many cases, That distance is exactly what you needed. Time is another thing people often ask for, but few truly respect. Your time is one of the most valuable resources you have, yet many people treat it as if it has no value. They expect immediate responses, endless attention, and constant availability. They may not realize it, but every minute you give away without intention is a piece of your life you will never get back. Stoic thinkers believed that time should be used carefully and wisely. Instead of filling your days with distractions or obligations that bring no growth, they encouraged focusing on meaningful actions. When you start protecting your time, you become more productive and more peaceful. You begin to notice which conversations energize you and which ones drain you. You start to see clearly who respects your schedule and who only thinks about their own needs. Protecting your time does not mean you stop helping others. It simply means you choose when and how you give your attention. When people realize that your time is valuable, they start to value it too. And more importantly, you start using your life in a way that actually moves you forward instead of holding you back. Another important part of yourself you should never give away is your personal values. Values are the principles that guide your decisions, your behavior, and your direction in life. Yet many people slowly abandon them because they want to fit in, avoid criticism, or gain approval. Society can create pressure that makes you feel like you need to change who you are just to belong somewhere. But Stoic wisdom reminds us that a person who constantly changes their values to satisfy others eventually loses their identity. When you stand by what you believe in, even when it is uncomfortable, you build inner strength. You begin to trust yourself more. You develop confidence that does not depend on popularity or validation. There will be moments in life when people expect you to compromise what you believe is right. They may say everyone else is doing it, they may say it is easier or more convenient. But deep inside, you will know when something does not align with who you truly are. Listening to that inner voice is one of the most powerful things you can do. Once people realize that you are guided by strong principles, they either respect you more or they stop trying to influence you in ways that weaken you. Your emotional control is another thing that people will often try to take from you, sometimes intentionally and sometimes without meaning to. It can happen through criticism, gossip, or attempts to provoke you. Some people enjoy seeing others lose control because it makes them feel powerful. They push buttons, make comments, or create situations that lead to reactions. However, Stoicism teaches that emotional control is one of the greatest forms of strength. When you pause before reacting, you create space between the situation and your response. In that space, you gain power. Instead of being controlled by anger or frustration, you become the one who decides what happens next. This does not mean you stop feeling emotions. Stoicism is not about becoming cold or distant. It is about understanding that emotions should not control your decisions. When you master this skill, people can no longer easily manipulate you. They may try to provoke you, but your calm response makes it clear that you are not easily shaken. Over time, this kind of self-control changes the way others see you. They start to recognize that you are stable, thoughtful, and difficult to influence through negativity. And this respect grows naturally, without you needing to demand it. Another important thing you should protect is your focus and direction in life. Many people will try to influence the path you choose, sometimes because they believe they know what is best for you, and sometimes because they want you to follow the same path they took. While advice can be helpful, there is a difference between guidance and pressure. Stoic philosophy reminds us that every person has their own journey. Your goals, your dreams, and your purpose belong to you. When you constantly change direction based on what others expect, you lose connection with what truly matters to you. This can lead to confusion, frustration, and the feeling that you are living someone else's life instead of your own. Protecting your direction requires courage. It means listening to advice but making decisions based on your values and vision. It means accepting that not everyone will understand your choices. And sometimes it means walking a path that feels lonely at first but ultimately leads you to a stronger and more fulfilling life. People often underestimate how important mental energy is. Every day, you wake up with a limited amount of attention, focus, and emotional strength. The way you spend that energy determines how productive, calm, and successful you feel by the end of the day. Yet many people unknowingly give their mental energy away to negativity, distractions, and unnecessary worries. Stoicism encourages us to focus only on what we can control. When you stop wasting energy on things outside your control, you begin to feel lighter and more focused. Instead of worrying about opinions, rumors, or situations you cannot change, you invest your energy into improving yourself and building the life you want. This shift may seem small at first, but it has a powerful effect over time. The more you protect your mental energy, the clearer your thinking becomes. You become more confident in your decisions, more resilient during challenges, and more capable of handling difficulties without feeling overwhelmed. Another thing you should never give people, even if they ask, is the power to define your worth. Many people measure themselves based on how others see them. They look for approval, compliments, or recognition before they feel valuable. But this creates a dangerous cycle where your happiness depends entirely on the opinions of others. Stoic thinkers believed that true worth comes from character, discipline, and personal growth. When you focus on improving yourself rather than impressing others, you build confidence that cannot easily be shaken. Criticism becomes less painful because you know who you are. Praise becomes less addictive because you do not rely on it to feel complete. When people notice that your confidence comes from within, they start to treat you differently. They recognize that you are not easily influenced by trends, opinions, or pressure. And this quiet confidence becomes one of the most attractive and powerful traits you can develop. If you have watched this far, it means you are someone who truly wants to grow stronger mentally and emotionally. And if you want more content like this that helps you build discipline, clarity, and inner strength, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now. This community is growing every day with people who are serious about improving themselves and living with purpose. Every video here is designed to help you think differently, act with confidence, and understand the wisdom that has guided strong minds for centuries. Your support helps this message reach more people who need it. and together we can build a mindset that is calm, focused, and powerful. As you move forward in your life, remember that protecting yourself does not mean becoming distant or unkind. It simply means understanding your value and choosing where your energy, time, and attention should go. When you stop giving away the things that make you strong, you begin to feel more in control of your life. The Stoic path is not about avoiding people or isolating yourself. It is about learning how to interact with the world without losing yourself in the process. It is about standing firm when others try to pull you in directions that do not serve you. And most importantly, it is about building a life that is guided by wisdom rather than pressure. Many people spend years trying to please everyone around them, only to realize that they forgot to take care of themselves along the way. But the moment you start protecting your peace, your values, your time, and your emotional strength, everything begins to change. You feel calmer, more confident, and more focused on what truly matters. In the end, the strongest people are not those who dominate others or try to prove themselves constantly. The strongest people are those who understand themselves deeply and refuse to give away the parts of their life that keep them grounded and powerful. And that is the true lesson behind Stoicism. Not just surviving the world, but moving through it with wisdom, strength, and self-control. One of the most dangerous things you can give people is control over your emotions. The moment someone can easily make you angry, upset, or anxious, they gain power over your inner world. Stoic philosophy teaches that you cannot control what others do, but you can always control how you respond. When you react impulsively, you hand your peace to others. But when you stay calm and composed, you remain in charge. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you choose your response instead of being controlled by it. Strong people are not those who shout the loudest. They are those who remain steady when chaos surrounds them. Another thing you should never give away is your self-respect. The world watches how you treat yourself. If you constantly tolerate disrespect, accept less than you deserve, or beg for attention, people learn that you are willing to be treated that way. Self-respect is silent but powerful. It shows in your posture, your decisions, and the boundaries you set. Stoics believed that dignity is something no one can take from you unless you willingly give it away. The moment you start valuing yourself, others begin to do the same. And those who don't were never meant to stay in your life anyway. You should also be careful with your time, because time is the only thing you can never recover. Money can be earned again. Opportunities can return, but every minute you spend on the wrong people or meaningless distractions is gone forever. Many people will ask for your time without thinking twice. They will invite you into gossip, drama, and conversations that lead nowhere. At first, it seems harmless. But over months and years, it becomes the reason you never move forward in life. Stoic thinkers believed that wasting time is worse than losing money, because it is a loss you can never repair. Protect your time, and you protect your future. There are people who will ask you to change your values just to make them comfortable. They will tell you to be quieter, to think smaller, or to compromise your beliefs so that you fit in. But the moment you abandon your principles, you begin to lose your identity. Your values are the compass that guides your decisions. Without them, you drift wherever others push you. Stoicism teaches that a person without principles is easily controlled, easily manipulated, and easily lost. Staying true to your values may cost you approval, friendships, and opportunities. But it will give you something far more important: self-trust and inner strength. Another thing you should never give people is unlimited access to your energy. Not everyone deserves to know everything about your life, your plans, or your struggles. Oversharing often leads to being misunderstood, judged, or used against you. There is strength in silence. There is wisdom in knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet. Stoics practiced restraint not because they were cold or distant, but because they understood that energy is a limited resource. When you share your thoughts only with those who have earned your trust, you protect your peace and avoid unnecessary drama. You should also be careful not to give people the power to define your worth. Many people spend their entire lives trying to impress others, chasing validation, and adjusting their behavior just to be accepted. But approval is unstable. It changes depending on moods, trends, and opinions. If your confidence depends on what others think, then your confidence will always be fragile. Stoicism teaches that your value comes from your character, your actions, and your discipline, not from applause. When you stop seeking validation, something interesting happens. You become calmer, more focused, and strangely, more respected. There are times when people will ask for your forgiveness, not because they are truly sorry, but because they want access to you again. Forgiveness is a powerful and noble act, but it should never come at the cost of your safety or your peace. Forgiving someone does not mean allowing them to repeat the same behavior. Stoic wisdom encourages understanding, but also encourages learning from experience. You can let go of anger while still keeping your distance. Protecting yourself is not bitterness. It is wisdom gained through experience. Sometimes, people will ask you to sacrifice your goals for their comfort. They may say you are too ambitious, too focused, or too different. They may even try to make you feel guilty for chasing your dreams. But every great achievement requires sacrifice. If you constantly put others' expectations above your purpose, you will wake up one day living a life that does not feel like yours. Stoicism teaches that your duty is to live according to your highest potential. Not to please everyone, not to avoid criticism, but to become the best version of yourself. You should also never give away your boundaries just because someone insists. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people out. They are guidelines that show others how to treat you. Without them, relationships become chaotic, unbalanced, and often painful. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will be the first to complain when you start setting them. But their discomfort is not a sign that you are wrong. It is a sign that things are finally changing. Healthy people respect boundaries. Only those who want control fear them. At first, it feels like kindness. You help, you listen, you adjust, you tolerate. But over time, it becomes something else. It becomes exhaustion. It becomes resentment. It becomes the quiet feeling that you are being used. Stoicism teaches a powerful truth. Not everything you have should be shared with everyone. Wisdom is not just about giving. it's about knowing when to withhold. Many people believe that being a good person means always being available, always saying yes, always showing up, even when it drains them. But this is not strength. This is a lack of boundaries disguised as kindness. When you are always available, people stop valuing your presence. When you always say yes, your yes loses meaning. And when you constantly sacrifice your needs, you begin to feel invisible. Strong individuals understand that their energy is limited. They choose carefully where it goes. Not out of selfishness, but out of awareness. You must understand that not everyone who asks for your help actually needs it. Some people are not looking for support. They are looking for someone to carry their responsibility. There is a difference between helping someone grow and enabling them to stay the same. If your support allows someone to avoid accountability, then you are not helping them. You are holding them back. Stoic thinkers believed that each person must carry their own burden. You can guide, you can advise, but you cannot live someone else's life for them. There is also a hidden danger in constantly explaining yourself to others. When you feel the need to justify every decision, every boundary, and every choice, you slowly give away your authority. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how clearly you speak. Others will twist your words to fit their narrative. The more you try to convince everyone, the more you lose clarity within yourself. Silence, in many cases, is stronger than explanation. Another subtle thing people give away too easily is their focus. In a world full of distractions, your attention has become one of the most valuable things you own. Every notification, every argument, every unnecessary conversation pulls you away from what truly matters. And the more your focus is divided, the harder it becomes to make meaningful progress. Stoicism encourages deep focus and intentional living. When you guard your attention, you take control of your direction. People will often test your limits without even realizing it. They will push, ask for more, demand your time, and expect you to adjust. Not because they are bad people, but because human nature tends to take what is available. This is why boundaries are not optional. They are necessary. If you do not define your limits, others will define them for you. And their version will always favor them, not you. There is also a quiet strength in walking away. Not every situation needs to be fixed. Not every conflict needs to be resolved. And not every person needs to remain in your life. Sometimes, the most powerful decision you can make is to step back. To remove yourself from environments that drain you. To let go of connections that no longer align with your values. This is not weakness. This is clarity. Many people struggle with this because they fear being seen as selfish. They worry that protecting themselves will push others away. But the truth is, the right people will respect your boundaries. The ones who leave were only benefiting from your lack of them. And once they are gone, you create space for healthier, more balanced relationships. Another important lesson is learning to be comfortable with discomfort. Saying no will feel uncomfortable. Setting boundaries will feel awkward. Walking away will feel difficult. But growth always comes with discomfort. Stoicism teaches that avoiding discomfort often leads to greater suffering in the long run. Facing it now builds strength that protects you later. You should also be mindful of who you allow to influence your thinking. The people around you shape your perspective, your habits, and your standards. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, doubt, or lack of discipline, it will slowly affect you. Even if you don't notice it at first. Protecting your mind means choosing your environment carefully. It means being selective about whose voice you allow into your life. There is a powerful shift that happens when you stop trying to please everyone. You begin to think more clearly. You act more confidently. You feel less anxious about how others perceive you. This is because your decisions are no longer based on approval. They are based on intention. Stoicism encourages independence of thought, the ability to stand firm, even when others disagree. Another thing you should never give away easily is your trust. Trust should be built over time, through consistency and actions, not given instantly based on words. Many people present themselves well at the beginning. They say the right things, make the right promises, and create the illusion of reliability. But true character is revealed over time. And rushing trust often leads to disappointment. Patience is an underrated form of strength. When you take your time to observe, to understand, and to evaluate, you make better decisions. You avoid unnecessary pain. You protect your energy. And you build relationships on a stronger foundation. Stoicism values patience because it allows truth to reveal itself. You should also be careful not to give away your independence. Relying too much on others for validation, support, or direction can weaken your ability to stand on your own. While connection is important, dependence can become a trap. The goal is not to isolate yourself, but to ensure that your strength comes from within first. That way, you are not easily shaken when external support is removed. There is also wisdom in accepting that you cannot control how others see you. No matter how kind, honest, or careful you are, some people will misunderstand you. Trying to control their perception is exhausting and ultimately impossible. Stoicism teaches acceptance. Focus on your actions, your intentions, and your character. Let others think what they want. As you continue to apply these principles, you will notice a change. You will feel calmer, more focused, less reactive. Situations that once disturbed you will no longer have the same power. People who once drained you will have less influence. This is the quiet strength that Stoicism builds. If you've made it this far, it means you are serious about becoming stronger, wiser, and more in control of your life. And that already sets you apart from most people. You say yes when you should have said no. You tolerate behavior that goes against your values. You give your time, your attention, your energy, hoping it will be appreciated. But instead of appreciation, you get expectation. Instead of respect, you get familiarity. And before you realize it, people begin to assume that your boundaries do not exist. This is how people slowly lose their power. Not because others take it forcefully, but because they give it away willingly. Stoicism teaches that power is not something external. It is not based on status, wealth, or recognition. True power lies in self-control, discipline, and the ability to remain steady regardless of what happens around you. When you understand this, you begin to see things differently. You begin to question what you give, who you give it to, and why. There is a silent cost to being too available. When people know they can always reach you, always rely on you, and always expect you to respond, they stop valuing your presence. Scarcity creates value. Not because you are playing games, but because you are respecting your own limits. You are not meant to be everything for everyone. You are meant to be intentional with your time and energy. Another mistake people often make is confusing kindness with sacrifice. Kindness is giving from a place of strength. Sacrifice, when overdone, becomes self-neglect. If you constantly put others first while ignoring your own needs, you are not being noble. You are creating imbalance, and imbalance always leads to exhaustion. You must learn to recognize when your generosity is being taken for granted. It does not always appear in obvious ways. Sometimes, it shows up in small expectations. People assuming you will always be there. People getting upset when you finally say no. People acting surprised when you choose yourself. These reactions reveal something important. They show that your boundaries were never respected, because they were never clearly set. There is also a deeper level to this. When you give too much, you not only lose energy, you lose clarity. You begin to forget what you actually want. Your decisions become influenced by others' expectations instead of your own values. This is why Stoicism emphasizes self-awareness. Knowing yourself protects you from being shaped by everything around you. Another powerful lesson is learning to detach from outcomes. Many people give too much because they expect something in return. Approval, loyalty, gratitude. But expectations create disappointment, and disappointment creates frustration. When you give without attachment, you remain at peace. But when you give with expectation, you become vulnerable to others' actions. You should also understand that not everyone deserves access to your struggles. Vulnerability is important, but it must be shared wisely. Some people listen to understand. Others listen to use the information later. This is why trust must be built slowly. Not rushed, not assumed. The more selective you are, the safer your inner world becomes. There is strength in restraint, in choosing not to respond, in choosing not to engage, in choosing not to react. Not everything deserves your attention. In fact, most things don't. The more you learn to filter what enters your mind, the more control you gain over your emotions. One of the hardest things to accept is that you will disappoint people when you start changing. When you stop saying yes. When you stop overgiving. When you start prioritizing yourself. People who benefited from your old version will resist your growth. But that resistance is not a sign to go back. It is a sign that you are moving forward. Growth requires separation, not from everyone, but from what no longer aligns with you. This could be habits, environments, or even certain relationships. Letting go is never easy, but holding on to what drains you is even harder in the long run. You should also be careful not to give away your silence. In today's world, there is pressure to respond to everything, to have an opinion on everything, to engage in every discussion. But silence is powerful. It allows you to observe, to think, and to choose your words carefully. Stoics valued silence because it protects clarity. Another thing to understand is that your life direction should not be influenced by temporary emotions. Anger, excitement, fear, they all pass. But the decisions made under their influence can have lasting consequences. When you give your decisions to your emotions, you lose control of your path. Discipline means pausing, reflecting, and choosing wisely. As you begin to apply these principles, you will notice something interesting. Your circle may become smaller. Not because you are losing people, but because you are losing what does not align. And what remains will be stronger, more genuine, and more meaningful. There is also peace in knowing that you cannot fix everyone. Some people are committed to their patterns, their mindset, their behavior. No matter how much you give, advise, or support them, they will not change unless they choose to. Accepting this frees you from unnecessary responsibility. You should never feel guilty for choosing yourself, especially when that choice protects your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Guilt often comes from conditioning, the belief that you must always put others first. But balance is key. Taking care of yourself allows you to show up better in every area of your life. Another important realization is that your worth is not measured by how much you give to others. It is measured by your character, your discipline, your consistency. Giving too much does not make you more valuable. It often makes you more overlooked. Respect is earned through strength, not over sacrifice. There will be moments when you feel alone on this path. When choosing discipline over comfort feels isolating. But remember this: not everyone is meant to walk the same path as you. And that's okay. Your journey is yours. If you've stayed this long, it means something in this message resonates with you. It means you are ready to think differently, to act differently, to live with more intention. So take this moment to subscribe to the channel. Because here, you're not just watching videos, you're building a mindset that most people never develop. A mindset of strength, clarity, and control. Conclusion. At the end of it all, life is not about giving everything you have to everyone who asks. It is about understanding your value and protecting it. It is about knowing when to give, when to step back, and when to walk away. Stoicism does not teach you to be cold, it teaches you to be wise. To give without losing yourself. To care without being controlled. To live without being consumed by the expectations of others. Because the moment you stop giving away what should be protected is the moment you start becoming truly powerful. And once you reach that point, you don't just change your life. You change the way the world responds to you.